For the next few days, Dustin occupied himself with investigating James' death. Someone had murdered James and framed him for the former's death. Although he didn't know who the true killer was, he could at least guess their intentions. They wanted to send him a warning, as well as make others turn against him. A stab in the back was always the hardest to anticipate. Dustin had also tried approaching Dahlia several times, but she still refused to see him. He knew that before the real murderer was revealed, there was no way they could peacefully talk to each other. On the third morning, Dustin stood at the edge of the battle ring in Flame Dragon Dojo as he studied the black needle. The needle was forged from dark steel and had been dipped in poison. If the needle managed to prick into a person's skin, it would cause an instant death, which was why James' death had been so sudden. But the question was, who did the needle belong to? Sir. Right then, Nelson barged into the dojo, carrying a copy of the test results. Well, how did things go? Dustin slowly raised his head. As you ordered, I swapped James' body and ordered an autopsy. Here are the results. Nelson handed the document over politely. I knew it. Dustin wasn't surprised by the results, which stated that James' death hadn't been a natural event. Sir, since we have the murder weapon and autopsy, we can prove your innocence, Nelson said with a smile. Things aren't that simple. Just having these two won't be enough to regain someone's trust. Dustin shook his head. Even with all this evidence, it wouldn't be enough to convince Dahlia if he couldn't catch the real murderer. I've also looked at the hospital's surveillance footage. I didn't find anyone suspicious the night James was hospitalized. It'll be difficult to find the killer. Nelson sighed. Keep digging. If there weren't any suspicious outsiders, start looking into the doctors and nurses at the hospital. Go through every person who entered the ward that night, Dustin ordered gravely. Of course, sir, Nelson answered, and he immediately started making some calls. Oh, right. Today's the third day, isn't it? I should visit the Doyle family now. Dustin carefully put away the black needle and slowly got up. Sir, why don't you give it some thought again? If you lose, your life will be in danger, Nelson pleaded. Of all people, Dustin had to challenge Terry. This was nothing but suicidal. Why do you think I'll lose? Dustin had a faint smile on his face. I don't just think so, I know so. Nelson nodded, his expression serious. Oh, have a little faith in me, Nelson. Dustin patted Nelson's shoulder and grinned. It's just Terry. Watch as I use the Doyle family as a stepping stone for our gang's success. Come, let's go to the Doyle family mansion. As noon approached, the Doyle family mansion quickly became packed with people as news about the challenge caused a huge commotion. After letting the news brew for the past 3 days, everyone was hyped up for the battle, and countless elite fighters flocked to the scene, eager to witness Terry's power. Even before dawn, tons of people had crowded the Doyle family mansion. And as if they had anticipated this, the Doyle family began selling entrance tickets at $100,000 per ticket. The Doyle family was clearly using this opportunity to make money while showing off their strength. In the Doyle family's training grounds. Holy shit! There are so many people. Ruth was shocked by the amount of people that crowded the vast space. Everywhere she looked, people were talking animatedly. Fortunately, the Doyle family martial artists were keeping everyone in line. Terry is a revered genius. Of course, the spotlight would be on him. Hector smiled. Dad, if he's that strong, does Dustin have a winning chance? Ruth asked nervously. It'll be difficult, but not impossible, Hector answered. Serves him right for being so stubborn. Natasha's words were harsh, but they failed to conceal her worry. She tried to persuade Dustin to surrender multiple times, but Dustin seemed unbothered. It doesn't matter if he loses. It's more important that he tries. Besides, losing to Terry Doyle isn't humiliating. Hector smiled again. He wasn't interested in the duel. However, Dustin was going to be his son-in-law, so he had to come and support Dustin. Why, fancy seeing you here, Mr. Harmon. A fancily dressed middle-aged man approached, smiling. The man was the head of the Doyle family, Phil Doyle. He was also Terry's father. It's been a while, Mr. Doyle, Hector responded with a small smile. If I remember correctly, You are not a fan of bloodshed, aren't you? So what are you doing here? Phil was surprised. I had some free time, so I brought my daughters here to watch the show. You don't mind, do you? Hector joked. Of course not. It's a pleasure to have you here. Come, have a seat. Phil led the three of them to the east of the room, where they had a direct view of the battle ring. Before they settled onto their seats, there was a commotion at the entrance, causing everyone to look. An old gentleman with white hair entered the area, with several younger people following him. The old man was none other than Paul Hill. Oh, my God. Is this for real? Is that Sir Paul? Holy shit. It is Sir Paul. Even a martial arts master is here to watch the show. Today's duel is going to be amazing. Paul caused a stir with his presence since everyone knew that he rarely attended any events. So by coming personally, he was obviously supporting the Doyle family. Please forgive me for not showing you in personally, Sir Paul. Phil was overjoyed to see Paul and quickly greeted the older man. Greetings, Sir Paul. Hector and his daughters quickly bowed out of respect, as well as gratitude. Hector still remembered how Paul had helped him during the birthday party. I'm just here to enjoy the show, so no need to fuss about me. Sit. Paul smiled. Please have a seat, sir. Phil hurriedly led Paul to the seat in the center. That seat was supposed to be his, but he could only let Paul have it now. After Paul, other important guests gradually arrived as well, including the Guildmaster of Boulderthorn, an elder from Greendust, the Guildmaster of Autumn Wind, and other famous fighters. The battle hadn't even started, but tons of martial arts elites had already gathered in the arena.